Hello friends of Salendics. Today we would like to show you a few of the handguns that were used during the period of the American Civil War era. And you probably heard of all of these, but I'll just show you some of these examples that we actually have in the shop. So I'll start with one of the most iconic revolver, and that is a Colt revolver. This is a variant actually that was made for Canada and London, so not necessarily not really used in the American Civil War, but very similar to one that would have been used. It's a very interesting design. Obviously, Colt was the person who more or less revolutionized the revolvers, but obviously all the other manufacturers did some really interesting. They built some really interesting designs. Probably one of the key features of revolvers like these was the ability of firing multiple shots, and this is obviously a 6-shot revolver. If you have to reload it, this is a muzzle loader. You load it through the cylinder here by pouring powder inside. You half cock, you put the powder inside, and then you push the bullet down with the ramrod. You all probably seen this. The interesting thing is that obviously you have a possibility of removing the cylinder. So if you push this wedge out, then the revolver breaks in two. You can take the cylinder out, load it really quickly, and then put it back and keep firing. It has been known for some of the soldiers to actually carry more than one loaded cylinder, so they'll just change the cylinder really quickly and keep firing. Another variant that we have here is a variant with a shorter barrel. This is actually in a bit of a sort of relic state. The example we have here, if you compare the two, you see that the barrel is probably about an inch shorter. They both work in the same manner. This is probably easier to conceal and carry, which is quite good. This example of ours is an 1851 Colt Navy. And there's a even shorter version of this. It's a Colt Pocket. You can notice the difference between these. If you look at them, the barrels have a significant kind of a shorter sort of a length as you go downwards. This was actually a gun favored for its possibility of concealment, and it's easy to carry. What you notice on this is that actually the cylinder has 5 shots rather than 6 because of its size. And also there's one other difference. You have the trigger guard and the elements are brass, whilst these ones are steel. Usually the brass ones are made in the States, the steel ones tend to be made in London, but when they shut the London factory, some of these components were shipped to the States and they kept assembling them. And this is a very interesting piece as well. As I said, you have this kind of half cock, which allows you to kind of move the cylinder to load it in its place and ram the bullet home. And it was a much loved revolver. Next, probably the next iconic piece is this. This is the Remington New Army model. This is an 1858 piece, and also it's a single action. You load it in the same way. You half cock, and then you just load the cylinder with powder. You push the bullet in, then you bring it in the way of the ramrod, you ram it home, and off you go. When you're ready, you can shoot. But like the Colt, this has the possibility of removing the cylinder. You pull this out, and then the cylinder comes out through here. So you can actually load it, and then you put the percussion caps. You can carry a number of these, and you can basically change have the cylinders loaded really quickly, and then you can shoot. The difference between this and the Colt is obviously the fact that the Remington has an upper frame here, so it's a bit sturdier in that respect. There's always a battle between people who say the Colt was better and people who say the Remington was better. I think they're both great guns. Probably because of this frame, the Remington is slightly sturdier in some respect, but obviously you can strip the Colt probably slightly easier. The next interesting gun is actually one which is less known. This is a Starr single action. There's single action and double action. I'll show you a double action in a minute. Apparently, they issued sort of a double action, but then they realized that the single action is slightly better because obviously you have less issues with it. It's also a half cock piece, so you half cock to load in the same way. You load through the cylinder, but you can also remove the cylinder. You have a screw here. When you unscrew this, the revolver breaks into, the cylinder comes out, and you can replace the cylinder with a preloaded one. It was used quite a lot by the Confederates. They got their hands on a number of these guns. It's a very interesting example of a very long battle. And then you have, this is the double action, which has a short barrel. Again, it's probably about 2 inches. The very interesting design of this is that actually you have a secondary trigger which is placed here. So the action of the first action of the trigger, the big trigger, is to actually cock the hammer, whilst the second is to release the hammer. But if you push it all the way, you create a double action. So this is why this is so interesting and innovative, because clearly you can either just cock by pushing it, but also if you want to trigger it, you can go all the way or just push the secondary button, secondary trigger. Also, this will load through the top of the cylinder. You can remove the screw and then it breaks into, cylinder comes out. It's a great gun. Again, very interesting, but probably this double action will make it a bit more difficult to fix if something happens. Maybe, you know, dirt goes in, something like this. And last but not least on our list is something that again was acquired by the Confederates on quite significant numbers. Is the 1858 French pinfire revolver. This is made by Eugene Lefaucheux. He made quite significant numbers of these. The variant of this became the service revolver of the French Navy during that period. This works in a completely different manner. This is actually using a self-contained cartridge that is loaded through the gate at the back. This is a pin fire, so it has actually a pin that is striking the primer with the help of this hammer here, right? So if you look, the hammer is actually hitting the top of the pin, and that's what makes the gun shoot. It's also a double action. It's a single double action, so you can actually, when you press the trigger, it goes all the way. It's a very advanced gun for this time. You have to eject the cartridges. You have this ramrod which you push, and that gets the cases out. There's some inconvenience to these in the way of, like, you have to have the special ammunition, and that's not necessarily easy to find all the time, and obviously the fact that because it's a pin fire, obviously sometimes the pin of the cartridge can be broken, things can happen to it. But for the time, it was the peak of technology. It was a very interesting gun. We miss from here a tiny rod which will double as a link, because you can actually secure this revolver to your holster or belt, or like put it around your neck with like a rope, so it won't, if you drop it, you won't lose it. And also that will help in case you lose the ramrod, you can actually use it as a tiny screwdriver, so to push the cases out. This is missing that. You'll see it on their smaller Lefaucheux, which don't have this particular rod here, and you only have to use the one on the which is screwed into the grip to get the cases out. And this concludes a really short presentation of some of the examples from that period that we have. They've been used in various parts of the world, but a lot of them in the American Civil War, because they used all sorts of guns. There's also an example which we had here, but unfortunately is gone now. It's a CT Revolver. I may, if I get another one, I'll show you, because it's something that most people never heard about, but it's an interesting cartridge that was used in the period and is proprietary to a particular gun. Till next time, goodbye.